This story is about a shift that happened in my politics over the last 5 years. I became very interested in eating healthy in order to increase my long term health because there's a lot of issues around health in my family, a lot of problems. And I quickly, because of my background in political science and anthropology and things like this, started looking at food politics and looking at issues of food insecurity, food justice. The thing that struck me the most when I was looking into these things was how horrible our labor practices are, specifically in agriculture. And looking into this was really eye opening for me. There's around the world slave labor in our agricultural products. It's backbreaking work. It's horrific conditions every day. It's exploiting the most vulnerable people, typically the most vulnerable people in America, Latin America, Asia are growing most of our food for us. And it was really hard to deal with that. So at first, when I learned about this, I thought, I should start growing my own food and buying the more expensive fair trade specialty products. But then I watched a documentary called Food Chains. And this documentary is about a group of tomato farm workers in Florida, which is one of the largest tomato producing areas in the world, who decided to start a coalition called the Coalition of Imwaki Workers. And this coalition works with these farm workers to advocate for them. And they decided they were going to do a week-long hunger strikes in front of Publix supermarket chain corporate headquarters, which is located in Florida. And they did this hunger strike right across the street from the corporate headquarters. And they had signs and people were coming by. And at first, there's a lot of shots of them trying to talk to people who work in this corporate office who have no interest in talking to them at all, but they keep persisting. The crowd is getting larger, they're getting more media attention, and it's becoming a big issue. It's becoming really hard for publics to ignore. And the worst part is, all the workers were asking for is that Publix pay 1 cent for every pound of tomatoes that is guaranteed to go directly to farm workers. And this 1 cent would increase all the farm workers' pay dramatically by a few dollars an hour, which, considering they work 10, 12, 16-hour days, would be a massive increase in their quality of life. And it became really hard for Publix to justify not giving them 1 cent more. And eventually they were successful. And Publix did agree to give them 1 cent more per pound of tomatoes. They've also forced Walmart to agree to their Fair Food program, which is a program that they started similar to fair trade, except it's made for and by farm workers. And I was really blown away by that. I thought it was so cool that they were able to do that. And I realized that, opting out of the system and looking at it through, my individual opting out, that's not really going to make any kind of change. Really, it's organizing and activism and things like this that are going to change our system. And so now I'm hoping that after I graduate, I, instead of opting out of the system, participate much more deeply in it and work with groups that organize farm workers for better pay, for better working conditions, for more rights. And hopefully, I'll be able to do that after I graduate in California, which is the largest agricultural state. And yeah, that's the story about a shift from looking at politics on sort of an individual level to looking at it from a little bit more of a collectivized advocacy level.